What's going on, guys? Today we are taking a look at the StarCats dinosaur team from TF Toys. Now, I did pick this set up online from a third-party Chinese retailer, but it is showing up in American stores. The whole set, that is. The whole set is, well, they're Dinobots. We've got the Stegosaurus, the Triceratops, the Tyrannosaurus, the Pterodactyldon, and the, well, I guess he's going to be called a Patasaurus because Brontosaurus isn't a real dinosaur, apparently. Urgh. They also come with a crud ton of accessories. I mean, tons of baggies of little accessories. We'll be taking a look at all of them here in this video review. Now, I do want to stipulate that there are some problems with this set, but all of them, from what I can tell, are fixable. But we'll be getting through those problems as we get going here. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the figures individually. To start off, we're going to take a look at the Stegosaurus here, and as you can see, well, it's a Stegosaurus. There's not much more I could tell you. It does have some nice detailing and good molding. However, the front legs are much too loose. They're just way too loose, and unfortunately, there's not much I could do to fix that other than drop maybe some kind of glue in where these pins are, because it's the legs themselves on the screws and the hinges here that fold the legs into what will be the robot legs are just much too loose. Just a weird little issue. But overall, the look of the figure is quite nice. I really do like the look. His mouth does open, as you can see, though it does require a bit of force. And overall, it's a good Stego mode. Transformation, pop the tail off, and all the tails are going to pop off on all these guys that have tails, and then pop it open to form this nifty Stego shield, or you can kind of put it up like this to be a Stego, I don't know, axe of some sort. Then take the head of the Stegosaurus and open it up like that, and fold out the entire front of the figure, or front of the dino mode. Turn the dino legs around, and then fold that whole section up underneath and peg it into place. Bring the other arm, or the rear legs, forward and flip out the robot hands. And then take the back of the dino and flip it out, and flip up the head. The back of the dino will form his backpack, and we're just about done here, because the one thing that I discovered, it's not actually in the directions that do come with the figure, is you could flip these legs inside and then just kind of get them so that you fold them up and they will connect to these little channels right here to form heels. And initially, I didn't notice that, but it adds a great bit of stability to this robot mode, which has a few issues. Now, the robot mode actually looks pretty darn good, and let me fix my lighting here, sorry about that. Robot mode, like I said, pretty darn good. Nice detailing. I actually really like this head sculpt. So the head sculpt is really kind of rad. I do like that. There is light piping in the back. Now, the only issue I have in this mode is these Stego heads. Much too floppy. Way too floppy. Just problematically floppy. But that can be fixed with a little bit of modeler's glue. Just dab it right there in the joint, wait like an hour, and then kind of snap it, and then it will tighten up. The other issue is these knees are too loose, but I could kind of fix that with a screwdriver and a little bit of modeler's glue again. So I can fix it. It will just take a little bit of work. As you can see, armored up, he looks pretty good. He's got this nice serrated bladed sword and his shield. He also comes with a cannon or gun of some sort that he actually can't hold because there's not enough clearance between his fist hole and the leg. And then he also comes with this long shaft of a thing. And since he forms a foot, he comes with a giant foot and a connector piece. The connector piece is in here. Good luck trying to get him to hold any of this in robot mode. He just can't. I prefer to have him with sword and shield. So, I like the Stego bot mode. I like the Stego alt mode. I think he's a good figure. He has some problems, but I can fix him. Let's move on to the next one. Next up is Brachio, and he, or I should say Apato, because technically a Brachiosaurus doesn't exist. It's actually a really nice figure. It's just got this really good paint. It feels like it's got a better paint scheme than anything that Hasbro would do for this type of character. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with Slog. As you can see, silver, gold, and some blue showing in. Really nice dino head sculpt. Unfortunately, the dino head isn't posable, and the mouth barely opens, but you can get it open. Though his head does move a little bit. So you do have those options. Transformation, again, for him is very similar to Stego. Triceratops, Apato, and Stego all transform in the same way. Getting his tail off is a bit of a pain because you actually need to open up the back part, which will form the legs, to get it out. So let's just get it open. See, it pegs in there, like so. And then split it open to form yet another tail shield. And then we're just going to do the same thing we did with Stego. Flip open the back of the figure, twist it around, and flip it down to form the robot legs. And it does peg in. Same thing again with the feet in the back, though you do kind of have to fiddle around a little bit more to just get it to a point where he can use it as heels. So flip it around, and then collapse the legs down, and then he's got heels, and that will come undone often. Flip down the fists, flip down the chest plate, flip up the dino head, unpeg the entire back of the dino, flip up the robot head, and then peg this sucker into place in the back. Sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't. Major issue with this guy, head is really very loose, and the peg doesn't really peg in all that well there at the hips. But there we go. Robot mode is very similar to Stego in that he has the same posability and the same transformation. They're pretty much the same figures, save for, well, they're just general look. He does not suffer from some of the same problems, though. Everything on this guy is pretty darn tight, and that's the way it should be. The knees are slightly loose, but definitely doable. It's not a big deal. Again, something I can fix. The only real issue is his top heaviness due to the dino head hanging off of his back, which, if you fold it down a little bit, that does mitigate it, but not much. And, well, the looseness of his head is an issue. Oh, and the fact that, what I said earlier, the pegs here aren't real tight either. So there are some definite QC issues with this guy, but no deal breakers. He's just a good-looking bot mode, too. I do genuinely like him. Again, given his weapons, he looks even cooler. He comes with the same exact accessories as Stego. The only difference being that he comes with instead of a circular cannon, he comes with one that's more like a rectangular box shape. And no, he can't hold that either. So there's that. To give you an idea on the scale of these two guys, here is Apato and Stego in bot form next to each other, roughly the same size. Apato is just a little bit bigger. I like both these figures. They're very similar, yes, but I think they're cool. Again, they both have issues, but I think that's stuff that I can fix. So, let's go ahead and get away from the guys that form the legs and take a look at the guys that form the arms. Now we're taking a look at Tricera, probably one of the weaker of the dino modes. It just doesn't look quite right to me. From the front, it looks fine. He looks perfectly fine when you're looking at him from the front. And he actually has some really nice sculpting and really good-looking paint here at the front of the figure. It's when you kind of turn him to the side that things look a little weird. He kind of looks like a frog, in all honesty, just ready to jump on you. It's very, very strange, but I get what the designers were going for, and they really couldn't do much more than this given the scale and given what they were trying to do with the figure. It's not a bad looking dino mode, just kind of look at it straight on, because when you look at it from the side, it looks just silly. And I forgot to add the Triceratops horns. So I'm just reaching into the bag here. Now, one of the things that has been plaguing this set is the Triceratops horns that it comes with Mine appear to be perfectly straight when they're supposed to be curved, which is odd. So let's just see if we can't get these in right. So they are slightly angled. So let's see. Nope, I ended up with a problem that everybody else is ending up with. 2 left horns. So folks have been ending up with 2 left horns or 2 right horns. I have ended up with 2 left horns. So I had forgotten why I left the horns off. That would be why. So he's got 2 left horns. Oh, anyway, hey, it's a cheap Chinese version of the Dinobots. What do you expect? So let's go ahead and get the transformation. The figure's transformation is very similar to the other two. First, we're going to take off the tail and flip it out, and, well, we've got another tail shield. But that's a little bit where the similarities end. Yes, we're still going to have rear legs form robot legs, front legs form robot arms, but it's a little bit different. First of which is we'll straighten out the legs here and fold them out. And then these will fold down, and you have to kind of get them into place. Take the arms and put them straight out to the side so you can open up the area inside the Dino mode, and they will fold out to form little wings. And then we can bring the arms down and shoulders down and flip the arms around to form robot arms. And then just take the mouth and open it up and fold it all the way down over the connector bit, and that's it. There we go. Of the 5 dinosaur bots, or dino cons in this case, he is definitely the short, squat one who is going to be the tank. He's not a bad-looking figure at all, but he does appear to have an entire dinosaur sticking off his top torso. But that's okay, because he is pretty darn nifty in my opinion. I do like this figure a lot. I think the head sculpt is really nice. It's very, very menacing and very hard to see on camera here. I do like it a lot. I really do. Overall, the figure is just kind of fun. I kind of find this guy pretty fun, as opposed to the other two. Now, armored up, he can hold his gun, which I will show you here in just a second, but it's not easy to get any of the weapons in this right hand, because it's really tight. So we'll give him a gun and a shield. I just like the fact that they all have shields. I do. So there we go. I think this guy, Trike I'm calling him, is pretty cool. Moving on to the next one, we have, I guess we'll call it Terrace. It's a Pteranodon or Petrodon or whatever Don. It's the flying one. So it has a very interesting transformation in that you've got these wings that are fully detachable, but they get in the way everywhere. Like, they just constantly peg and hit things, and that's because of the way they are on the figure, and I'll show you that here in a sec. But as you can see, they force the dino head down. You can't really get the dino head all the way back at all. It's really, really kind of stupid. And well, the wings come off. So we'll just take the wings off here. They're just on pegs. And they peg into the back of the bot mode, or of the mode there. So what I end up doing some of the times is actually pegging them in up here on the feet, or what will be the feet in robot mode. Unfortunately, they don't peg in all that well, nor do they look all that good when pegged in like that. So you can peg them in up all the way up here, and it looks okay, I guess, but it just throws off the proportion, and they don't peg in very solidly either. So you could definitely put it in up there, but that is an option. I kind of wish they had a better way for it, but they don't. So transformation is pretty much exactly like you would think of transforming G1 Dinobot Swoop. It's very similar. So fold the head forward and then unpeg the beak and fold that down. Reach down and fold up the dino feet to form the robot arms. And then they will fold out and swing around like that, and then unfold the legs from the back and snap them into place, fold out the feet, and then we have the robot mode, and all we need to do is replace the dino wings on him. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I think this robot mode is really nice looking. It's very well proportioned and just looks really cool. It just works for me in ways that some of the others have issues with. The only real problem with this guy is he's top-heavy, and he doesn't have any real heels to speak of. And there's nothing that folds out to form bigger heels, which he could really use some bigger heels, in all honesty, because he just has, well, falling over issues. But overall, I think it's a strong robot mode. He also comes with a serrated sword, just like his brethren. And he does come with a gun, but there's no way he's going to be able to hold it, because the gun he comes with has a giant stock or handle that he can't hold. And it's not coming off either, so yeah, he can hold any of the other ones with no problems, unlike the other guys who can't even hold their guns. But he just looks better with just a sword, in my opinion. I definitely think he's probably the coolest of the group. And the last bot we're taking a look at is Tyranno. And he's kind of a combination between, I would say, Masterpiece, or the idea of him is more of a combination between Masterpiece Grimlock and the original Grimlock. Obviously, his tail can reach the bottom, but his head isn't really going to, well, it's just not going to look good if we do that. So you do want to have him leaning forward, though his hips are a little bit on the loose side, especially with the front of the figure being so heavy. And don't get me wrong, this sucker is not light. So, sorry, I just got a text. So I like to put his legs kind of forward so he can move forward. He does have light piping in the head, and his mouth opens, thus, and also revealing some cannons there in the mouth, though they're not posable. Really? Okay, maybe they are. Sorry. Ow, just, his teeth are very sharp. I mean, really freaking sharp. In fact, all of his claws and his feet here, and his claws up front, and his teeth are painfully sharp. Though that's not technically a bad thing, just be wary. Tyranno's transformation is actually pretty cool. To start off with, we're going to first reach behind him and slide his tail off, and hey look, another tail shield. Go figure. Unfortunately, it just kind of folds all the way out like that. It doesn't really have a stopping point, so we'll put that off to the side. Then bring the legs straight down like this, and you can either choose to leave his gold hips up, or you can unpeg them and bring them down to form like knee guards of some sort. The choice is yours. Next, we're going to take the front of the figure and actually work our way to opening in the front of the figure from the back, like that. And then we could take the entirety of it and spin it around, though there's not a whole lot of clearance here because the pins here where my finger is that hold these doors haven't quite been hammered all the way. So you kind of have to fiddle with it and just pray that you don't break the figure. Yeah, I realize that's not the best engineering in the world, but what are you going to do? Next, we'll come to the head and actually close the mouth and push it down, and then we can open up the back of the Dino mode completely and unpeg it from each other, and then flip those out to form the shoulders and the fists, or I should say the arms. So I've put the one arm in the correct place. I'll do the next one. Spin it around, spin the top of the section up, fold it all the way down, and then unfold the arm, like that. Now, if you're looking at it, you would think that the legs would be able to collapse and peg into each other, and there are even hinges for it. Problem is, the pieces of plastic that they used right here have not been chiseled down or even sanded down enough so that you can fold the knee or the hip down and then fold it back up to collapse it. You can do it, but you're going to risk breaking the figure. Now, I'm probably going to take a sandpaper or some emery board or even a Dremel tool and start shaving those down a little bit until he can do that. But for now, we got Splitsville. So the next thing to do is pull the head out, and it's easier said than done. Normally I have to take something and use it as a lever in order to get the head out, just because the pin here is plastic and it's tight, and the head likes to get stuck in there. So flip it out, spin it around, pull it up, and then bring the head down, or the dino head down, spin it around, and then you're supposed to be able to get it so that it collapses in cleanly. Doesn't really do that, but I get it just to the point where it's good enough to call it. And that's pretty much the robot mode. Of all the robot modes, Tyrannos is my least favorite. It just doesn't seem to be all that cohesive, and especially with the split here we got going on with the legs, it just doesn't look quite right. It's not bad by any means, it's just not my favorite. That's just a personal thing on my part. Posability of all these guys are roughly the same, except for him. He does have posability in the arms, in the elbows, his head swivels, movement in the legs, but good luck trying to actually put him in a pose other than just kind of standing there with his sword and shield. He doesn't come with a weapon, or he doesn't come with a gun, I should say, and that's fine, but he doesn't look rad, and he would look so much better if I could collapse these hips up, but I can't. And that's a shame, but I'm sure I could fix it. So the bots standing together actually look really cool, if not a little bit overly monochromatic, but you do see differentiation between each of the figures. Gold, green, blue, red, and gold again. They're not bad. I mean, individually, they're not bad. There are some minor issues with each of them, but overall, I like them as individual figures. But they all do combine, because why not? So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. Now, the first thing we're going to do is start with Apato and Stego. Now, Stego looks a little weird, and I'll show you why. When you transform him back into beast mode, you have to put this connector port on the inside of his knees, and that will keep the head split open like that. However, unfortunately, none of the connector ports that come with this set are the correct size. The pegs that are on the side are just too wide. That will cause problems later, but you could fix it sort of by taking a high grit, or I should say low grit, emery board and just sanding down the pegs. I've already sanded them down a bit, and this already fits a lot better than it did before I did that. The next thing you could do is come around here, bend the legs, and they will actually peg onto these, the inside of the legs will actually peg onto these pegs that are sticking out like that. And then you just kind of have to do something with these legs. They look like they're supposed to peg in somewhere, but they really don't, so you just kind of have to deal with them in some way or some capacity. It is annoying, but you just kind of have to put them somewhere. And then for him, you split the head open like that, and you take one of the cannon feet that we get and peg him down. And good luck getting the pegs actually on, because these hinges here, super, super loose. And you just kind of have to fiddle with it until it slides down like that. And then you kind of just let the heads flop. Again, fixable, but annoying. So we just kind of leave him like that, and he will form the right leg. For this guy, for the left leg, same thing, except he gets it in the butt. And then same thing with the legs here. You can flip them out and around, well, once everything gets pegged back into place. That's just a theme with the bits. There are the two guys that form the legs. Things don't hold together all that well. So you have to fiddle with it, but it will peg into place. Really, I mean it. I'm not lying. Once we've got the legs set up, let's move on to the arms. So for the arms, we're going to use Tricera and Terra. So Tricera is interesting because you have to take the legs and actually kind of flip them around so that the pegs or these peg holes, can hold one of these. Oh, and I forgot in robot mode you can flip out heels. Sorry about that. These feet joints are very tight, and sometimes don't want to move, and I've pinched myself a couple of times doing that. So just get that together, peg that into place, and just put the arms straight down. And you could keep these out like this, or you can put them back into Dino mode if you want. Doesn't really matter. And flip out the connector. And believe it or not, the connector is very difficult to flip out if you've got no nails. Thankfully, I have just a little bit of nail, so I'm able to flip it out. And get those guys up like that. And put his arms straight down and fold them up. And you can point them either way you want. I like to put them like that, so then we could turn this and give the combine mode a little bit of articulation. And I'm sorry if I just did all of that off camera. Yeah, real sorry about that. And then we can peg the arm in thusly. Yay! For Terra, we're going to flip up his head, or Dino head, pull off his wings and put them off to the side. Then take his hands and fold them up and around like this. And they will actually, it looks like they're supposed to peg into the legs, but they don't, unfortunately. Which, oh well. But what you do with the legs is you actually turn them 180 like that and peg them together while putting in a connector down at his ankles. So just kind of fiddle with it until you could get them in place. Now, according to the directions, you're supposed to put his knees to the front like this. I prefer to turn him like this so he's got some actual articulation. Just give him a little bit more articulation. And then add a hand. Unfortunately, the hand is really loose. I mean, falling out loose. And loose is kind of the name of the game with this set. Oh, the one thing I forgot to do that you can do with the arms is point them out like that. I just like to do that as a personal preference, just because I think it looks a little bit neater and gives him more room for articulation. Next up is Tyranno, and what we're going to do is actually pretty easy. First off, we're going to just take the elbows, double elbow, hinge it up, and peg his elbows into his upper arms like that. And then we're going to take the legs, come down here, and unpeg them so we can flip out the connectors like this. And sometimes it feels like you're supposed to do something with these gold shin or the gold heels, but you're not. So just fold them up, fold the Dino legs up. And then this is where things get a little bit strange. I've seen it where you take the Dino head and have it pointing out like that. But that doesn't really work because, I don't know if you could see there, there's supposed to be connectors that you're supposed to be able to plug into. So you want to collapse it and then get it such that these arms are pegging into the side of the Dino head on these pegs. But that's not really possible because there's nowhere for the arms to really bend to in order to do that. Had this set been better engineered, I'm sure it would be able to. You kind of have to, if you want to do it, you kind of have to bend the arms in and kind of hope and pray and push, and then you'll end up with it sort of there. But otherwise, doesn't really work sometimes. So unless everything's lined up perfectly, it's definitely not going to work. So we're just going to start combining parts now. The final combined form that you end up with, which I lovingly call Diplodocus, is actually really menacing looking and pretty darn cool. I just have one major problem. My figure can't really stand on his own. And of course, the one time I say it, he does stand on his own. that is the luck of the video reviewer. So, the big problem I have with this, other than the very loose hand here on the left, is stego. That bit that I was telling you about, that part that I was telling you about that doesn't fit on stego causes just problems all around. Plus, a pato here, the same part, or I should say the hinge here in the foot, is so unbelievably loose, you can actually turn the thing and the hinge will just fall. So, yeah, you have a very nice looking bot mode that has really tough time standing and holding together. I'm pretty sure I can fix everything here, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some elbow grease. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video review of TFC Toys Dinosaur Team from the Star Cat line. Only pick this up if you A, have the patience for it, and B, are willing to do some work to get things fixed. As usual, I'm baltmatrix, and I'll catch you next time.